Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my Witch's Roots unboxing. So I have set up a little bit differently for this video, so please let me know down below what you think of this. But I have been really enjoying unboxing my Witch's Roots box and then moving and incorporating this into a monthly ritual. And I did things a little differently this month because today is Samhain when I'm filming this. This video will probably go up in the next day or two on my channel, but I wanted to sort of invite you into that experience with me and share some of the things that I'm setting up and some of the things that I'm doing. But before I get into sort of what I have planned and what I've set up, I'll give you a little tour of my altar and all the goodies that you see here. I wanted to get into the Witch's Roots box and then walk you through sort of what my ritual is focused on this month and just sort of invite you into that a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll move it to silent after that and maybe put some music and speed it up and you can see the ritual at work. But I just thought I'd invite you in a little bit deeper this month. So I hope you like it. Let me know what you think down below. But for now, I'm going to jump right into the box. And it is, again, the Witch's Roots. I will have the information in the description box down below for where you can get this box. It is put out by the lovely people over at the Witch's Moon. And this box, I believe, is about $29 US every month. And for international Canadian, there's a different price because it incorporates shipping to your respective countries. So you'll have to excuse me, I'll probably have a little bit of interruptions here and there because in Canada on Halloween, they like to set off fireworks and our doggos are a little bit needy. So every once in a while, if you see me reaching out of frame, it's because little Bruno does not love the fireworks. So I'm gonna jump into this month's box. I'm really excited. I did see a spoiler for one of the items inside, but everything else will be a surprise. So with that said, let's get into it. So we're gonna just open her up and hopefully you guys will be able to see what I see. Voila! So yeah, I'm actually excited to hear what you guys think of this particular setup and location and stuff, and maybe I'll do that for my other box too. But so first we have our scroll, and I'm going to set the twine aside for now. So this month's theme is Ancestral Guidance, which is super appropriate for the month of Samhain. During the upcoming Samhain, our ancestors and guides will work to provide us with messages, signs, visions, and guidance. It is important that we prepare for this by creating and maintaining ancestral altars, creating sacred space for divination, and work towards maintaining a sound and silent energy. This very act allows us to pay our respects and, most importantly, offer up recognition. We are wise enough to know that the answers that we seek are not only provided from within, but can be found without. The power that is held within these practices and rituals are sacred to our craft and instrumental to our spiritual growth. We have created and curated this collection with the intention of assisting you during your practice of ancestral honoring, ultimately resulting in guidance. And then it goes on to list the monthly items. So I'm going to set that aside and we'll take a look at that in a second. And first we have our artwork, which usually tells us what our herb of the month is going to be. And this month it is chrysanthemum. And this is pretty exciting because I actually have, you know what, I'll share that in a minute. But chrysanthemums are associated with the season of Samhain and with honoring ancestors, but they're also associated with protection. So the magical properties listed on here says, cultivated for over 3,000 years, chrysanthemum has many uses. An excellent spiritual defense from paranormal activity, it repels pests of all kinds, including negative energies, wandering ghosts, and malevolent entities. It is often worn during death and funerary rites as an amulet of life, and traditionally is included on ancestral altars. And there's more after that, as well as some correspondences and a sigil and some other just really lovely stuff. The artwork that comes in these boxes is like out of this world. We also have a really lovely piece of artwork specifically for Samhain, which again makes me really excited that I opened this right on Samhain. I've actually already had my ritual bath. You can see my hair is still legit wet, and actually for my ritual bath I used my Witch's Moon Samhain Sacred Salt, and I put it in a little organza bag and use it like a bath tea. So that was really lovely, and I still smell really good. Just because you needed to know that. Alright, so let's dive in and see what we have here next. So first off, I'm going to pull out, actually I'm going to save that for a minute, I'm going to pull out the herb because I see it peeking out right here. And we have some chrysanthemum And I am definitely going to be incorporating this into my ritual. So I will be adding this to the ancestral portion of my altar. I'm going to set that actually over by that for now. And this is the item that I actually knew was coming because somebody put it in their thumbnail, but these are the Making Magic cards by Priestess Moon. You guys know I have been raving about these cards. In fact, mine are always within reach here at my altar space. You can see them right here, and I will be working with them tonight a little bit. I love using these. I'm going to show you mine since it's already open and not in its wrap anymore. But they are like really wonderful sigils with different intentions and correspondences, and I love incorporating them into my ritual work, my spell work, my crystal grids, my tarot readings for clients. I use these in all sorts of different ways, and I often have them peppered around my house with different intentions that I'm working at the time, and I find these to be really, really easy to use. So if you're looking for like a really great sort of go-to to boost your magic and your spell work, this is a really wonderful way to play with that and play with these intentions. And the sigils are all simple enough that if you wanted to copy them into a journal or notebook or do some writing on them, you definitely could do that. They're not like overly complex. There's a couple here that are maybe, like this one's a little more complex, but I mean they could all be easily traced. So that is really awesome. I actually have a friend of mine who I know would love this deck, so I'll be sending this off to her. And so I'm going to set that actually over to the side, and let's dig in. Okay, so we have a little pouch, and this feels like a stone. So I am going to pull this out. Ooh. This is a really beautiful, gentle little amethyst. That is lovely. And I will read about that actually, because I don't think there's going to be any major spoilers that I can encounter. So I'm just curious what the intent was with the amethyst. Amethyst tumbled stone. It is necessary that we dive into our work with a sense of fearlessness and conviction. We've included a tumbled amethyst stone within this collection with the intention of promoting self-esteem and to increase the spiritual power that surrounds you. Meditate with this stone or place it amidst your altars. That's beautiful, and I've got a spot for that right here on my altar right now. It actually is really neat because it has a gentle energy that I think will be really beautiful alongside some other gentle stones that I pulled into this quite deep, dark, heavy altar space, which I'll be giving you a tour of shortly. Okay, so I have our candle, and I never think to bring a sharp object with me, so I always fumble with the paper a little bit. But ooh, look at this one. So this is a really deep chestnut brown. I love that. I love, these are my favorite kind of candle, like forever and ever and ever. I love them so much. So these always get use. In fact, I have a tendency to run out in between my boxes, so this will be getting used, but not tonight because I have a different one on my candle holder tonight. Okay, we have some incense, and this incense smells pretty potent, you guys, so let's see. Ooh, it's another kind of resiny, I'm like looking over here, sorry, getting kind of lost in the moment. It's another kind of resiny kind of smell. Let's see, incense. This is dragon's blood incense. Ooh, I'm gonna burn that tonight. In fact, I've got a partial stick here that was in my little pot. I'm gonna set that aside and switch out for one of these right now. So I'm just gonna pop that in my cauldron. Alrighty, that's awesome. And I'm gonna set the rest over here. And I think there's one more item in here, and it looks to be pretty, oh, this looks special. Okay, get off paper. Okay, so we have a little bundle here, and it's all tied up with a bit of twine. There is what looks to be a crow feather or a raven feather here. That's really, really lovely. And there's a little like bead there and a little charm. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like a little key. Oh, that is really cool. Okay, that's going to be repurposed for sure, that little key. But I'm going to move the packaging out of the way and take a look at what it says about that little bundle. So, let's see if I can figure out how to hold this up and read it to you. Okay, Samhain Spell, oh perfect, Intention Scroll. Prepared and created by A.E. Alden, who is the artist that does a lot of the Book of Shadows artwork for the Witch's Moon and does an incredible job. This beautiful scroll is meant for your personal spellcrafting and intention work. As you write your intentions, be clear about your purpose for doing so. This is perfect because I have intention writing as part of my planned ritual already. Know that this time is sacred to your development and vital for manifestations to flourish into the physical and spiritual realm. Along with parchment, an incantation has been included for you to recite upon completion. So that is going to be pretty powerful stuff. And I'm going to set that here on my altar with the items I had set aside for writing already. So that is all of the items from this month's box. So I'm going to change the view here in just a moment. I'm going to pause the video, kind of reorient so you can see my surface area a little bit better, and then take you on a little bit of a tour through everything I have here, and then just bring you along with me as I do my ritual. Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, so I think this will give you a bit of a better view. I have here as the base for my ritual the elemental altar cloth that Peggy made me, and this is already oriented to the correct direction, so green to the north, red to the south, yellow to the east, and blue over here to the west. And I'm not placing any kind of element-specific items here. I just really wanted this cloth to be here to represent the 4 elements. I'm going to just set these artworks off to the side for now. I'm probably going to look at these a little bit later and take you on a bit of a tour. So, first of all, in this cauldron, I have put one of those Dragon's Blood incenses that I got from the Witch's Roots box. So I'm going to light that just to sort of set the space. Oh, you ever do that? You blow out your incense too soon? Let me give that another second. Perfect. So I'm going to set this completely out of the way because it doesn't need to be right in the main spot. And I have some sand here in the bottom of this cauldron, some black sand, just to help hold that stick in place. So I'm going to set this all the way out of my way, and that way it's also not too close. So a little tour. I have my traditional, what's traditional? That's not what I mean. My regular cleansing sort of smudge. This is the one that's been in use for a bit, as well as my piece of Palo Santo I've been working with for a bit. So I'm going to be using these to cleanse the space with this bundle, and I'm going to use the Palo Santo afterwards just to invite in some sacred energy and containment into the space. So that's set over to the side. I also have here a carafe. You've probably seen this in my videos before, that I pre-boil some water in. This is a very insulated carafe, so the water is usually still very near boiling, even after an hour or two, so I prep this ahead of time. And that is so that I can make my tea. So tonight I'm going to be making a tea specifically for scrying. So I'm starting with a Serenity blend that has some herbs that are really good for increasing your psychic awareness, and that is cinnamon, chamomile, and lavender as a base. And I'm going to be adding some Damiana, which I got in my Witch's Moon box, and some mugwort. Now this is not the container for mugwort, this is a tea container, but most of my mugwort was actually shipped to me from a friend overseas, and so I have that here set aside. I've actually added just a little bit of the extra mugwort we got in the Witch's Moon box, so that will probably be used in the tea because it's sitting right on top. But they are very different. And just to give you an idea, so the stuff on top here that looks kind of ground and, come on, focus, there we go. This like ground brown looking stuff, that's what came in my Witch's Moon. And then when I kind of go under, you can see this like greener, fresher, more whole leaf looking stuff. That's what was actually wild harvested for me and sent over from overseas. So they're very different, and they definitely feel different. I probably should have bundled them separately, but I didn't think about that at the time. But I'm going to be pulling from this more dry version, and I might get a bit of the other in there too. So I did look up those herbs for myself, but I recommend before you ingest any kind of teas or make any kind of herbal concoctions that you do your own homework and decide what you're comfortable with, right? So that being said, let's see, what else can I, oh yes, of course. And then for the tea, I actually have here a David's Tea mug that I got from their Halloween collection this year, and it's the kind that has the strainer right in it, so I can put this tea bag in and my herbs, and I've preloaded the mug with a little bit of honey because sometimes herbs like this can be a little bit on the bitter side. So that's set aside so that I can brew my tea. I do have my Making Magic cards, and I may choose a card or two as an intention at some point during my ritual tonight based on what I kind of decide I need. And a lot of my rituals are very flowy, so I really move intuitively through what I feel like I need. So some other things I have here. So after I cleansed the space and prepped my tea, I'm also going to, or I don't know what order I'm going to be doing all this in, but I've also invited or welcomed my current matron deity that I'm working with. And this is something I don't talk a lot about on my channel because it's extremely personal to me, but this is a representation of Yamaya. She is actually an Orisha. She's not traditionally depicted as a goddess per se, but she does show herself to be a goddess-like figure for me personally, and so our personal relationship has been developing in that sort of a manner. So I often will in my own head think of her as a goddess, but she is, please know, she's an Orisha. But I have brought her over here as representation of Divine Feminine and to just sort of watch over this particular ritual because it feels very personal and meaningful for me, and this is a big one for me in the year. I've also brought the candle that I use for her, which is, I don't usually keep this lit for very long at a time, but it will be burning for a bit tonight as I sort of invite her into this space or welcome her into this space. I have a token that I got in a previous Witch's Roots box, which I have been using to invite in positive intention and transformation, particularly when it comes to breaking cycles and moving into new ways of being and interacting. And one of the focuses of my ritual tonight is about sort of breaking a lineage of toxicity that I was born into and sort of moving into a healthier and brighter place where I release some of the hold of that stuff on me. And this has been a meaningful talisman, so I will be charging that at a point in the ritual. Okay, so I have some candles. So I have this really cute black pumpkin guy that I'll be lighting, as well as another little pumpkin jack-o'-lantern style that I'll be lighting tonight, just to honor Samhain. And my representation for Divine Masculine is this, I keep not putting it in the focus spot, but this is a green man sort of representation. So right now the Holly King is active if you follow the Celtic tradition, but I like having an image for the Divine Masculine, and this is the most beautiful one I have. So he's coming into the space. I've got several crystals in front of me. I have a smoky quartz, which I always use for shadow work, and I also bring it in during dark half of the year rituals. I have a couple pieces of tourmaline, and I have a Tektite that came in my Witch's Bounty box. I'm also wearing the Tektite Morgan inspired crow pendant here that is made out of the same stone. So this is really wonderful for connecting to that higher consciousness, that higher awareness stuff there. I have some other crystals that I wanted to bring in for more gentle energy. So these were all actually sent to me by a friend, except for this little purple amethyst, which I just added tonight. So there's an opalite here and a couple of dyed quartz. Nope, sorry, one dyed quartz, and I believe this is another really gentle amethyst. And for some reason, these lighter amethysts I really feel like are very sort of brighter and more nurturing than the deeper kind. And the last thing I want to sort of invite you to, well, not the last thing, there's a few more things. So I'm going to, let's do this next. So I'm going to bring over this, because I don't know how well you can see it. So this is the mini ancestor altar kind of candle I've prepped. So in here are lots of objects found in nature here in my local area that I've collected throughout the last year. There's some little tiny pine cones and some, I forget what these are, but I think they're acorns without the caps. I'm like 90% sure. I collected them a bit ago. And then I have some other things that I got from a local artisan who deals in bones. So I have some really great gold painted bones here. There's some cow teeth in this, and this is actually a coyote jaw. And what I've done here is Othala is the rune that is associated with sort of ancestry, and I've sort of heated the side of my beeswax candle and pressed my onyx Othala rune into the side of the candle. And all I'm going to do now, before I get started with my ritual, and I've got a little puppy here, is I'm going to add some of this chrysanthemum to this altar. just to bring some of that as well. And I'm actually very, very happy with how this turned out. I've never done that before where I've pressed a rune into one of these beeswax candles, but all I did was placed a flame against the side to soften the wax, and then I pressed that rune right onto there. So this is holding the intention for me to connect to that ancestral energy, but I am very clear when I work with ancestral energy and only inviting ancestors that have my highest, my good, have the best intentions, have my well-being at heart. And so this is a place to honor those ancestors and invite them to take part in this space with those good intentions. So that is there for that. I have a few oils that I plan to incorporate into my ritual. We'll see if I use them all or not. But I have here the Banish oil, because I'm going to be doing some releasing magic tonight. I have the Castaway oil. So Banish and Castaway are both about repelling negativity or negative energy, and since one of the parts of my ritual tonight is going to be focused around cutting ties and releasing those things that no longer serve, I wanted to pull those in. I also have here my Seeker oil, which I use when I'm doing card pulls or working with divination day to day. And I also have the new scrying oil that I got in my Witch's Moon box this last month, because I do intend to do some scrying. So those are those oils. I'm going to be anointing myself with this body oil from the Witch's Bounty. No, this came in the Witch's Roots, and this is called the Shield. And this is a larger oil, and it is meant for the body, so I'm going to be applying that to probably my arms, elbows, as well as my legs and knees before I get started. And what else do I have here? I can put the chrysanthemum on the side. Oh, I have my little cup of water. You've seen this in my other rituals. And my glass dip fountain pen. There we go. Yeah, it's working. And I also have an ink. This came from a November 2018 Witch's Moon box. It was my very first, one of my very first boxes I ever got from them. And they have a set of inks, and each one has a different intention. This one is the Peace ink, so I've incorporated that for my intention writing. And you guys already saw the little scroll we got, so I'll see what that contains when I get started. This is my shaker, which I use to just dispel energy when it gets a little bit too heavy or at the end of the ritual. And I also have, I know I have a bazillion things, but this way when it's on speed up, you'll know what I'm doing. This is the Yerba Santa smudge bundle that we received in the Witch's Moon box. Oh, got like a whole leaf, I may get to burn. So this is what I'll be using to shift the space from my intention writing and the deeper, that sort of like very me-focused work that way. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but when I shift the energy from that to wanting to actually do my scrying and my divination. For scrying, I have the obsidian mirror here, and this came in the Witch's Moon box this month. And it's this separate, really gorgeous obsidian scrying stone, and the holder here. So I'll be doing my scrying in that. This little frame does beautifully when it's sitting, but every time I try to move it, it likes to pop off on me every now and then. I think that's about it for what's on the space. I don't think there's anything. Oh, and of course. And if I do card readings, and I haven't fully decided, but I think I might. I have here my Sawyer's Path tarot tiles and their little reading cloth. So if you haven't seen these on my channel before, I'll try to remember to link. I'll put a link up in the cards. But these look like this. They're the Sawyer's Path tarot deck, but they've been mounted on these really beautiful wooden tiles and covered in a clear resin. And they're just gorgeous, but they're also great for doing bigger readings in a smaller space. So I may pull those out and do a reading for myself with those. So I have those just set to the side. So that, I think, concludes the tour. I'm going to pause this, and then we're going to restart it. It'll be on speed up, and I'll be doing my own ritual concentrating, so I won't be looking at the camera. And thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions about anything you see here, please feel free to drop them down below. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. Many, many blessings. I hope your Samhain was magical, and I'll see you soon.